Darren Waller. We drafted him in the second round. I'm really interested to see where his ceiling goes this year, if he can touch that Kelsey tier. But
right here,
our final game on the slate is the Monday Night Football matchup. The Las Vegas Raiders host the Baltimore Ravens on Monday Night Football on ESPN. Raiders in their own, the first time they're going to play in that stadium out there in the desert. It's a 51-point over-under. Baltimore favored by 4.5. But guys, some massive news that's come in to this Ravens team. And so, Johnny, I'll start. When we started to stat this show out, we said all aboard the Gus bus. And right now we're dealing with reports that Gus may be done for the year.
Yeah, this is very it just keeps getting worse and worse for Baltimore's running game. Obviously, Dobbins goes down a couple weeks ago. We were all aboard the Gus bus bandwagon and train. And then this news. What does this mean for fantasy terms? Well, Tyson Williams becomes a much more interesting dart throw. We were going to talk about him on the show and just see what he could do. There were rumors that he had a really good training camp, and he had kind of bumped out Hill already for that, second to third running back spot. And then Hill also got injured as well. So I don't know what's in the water in Baltimore, but it definitely has me concerned for sure. So Taysom Williams now becomes a very interesting play for me. I would like to kind of toss it off of you guys. I do think that he becomes an interesting play because he should get the bulk now. And now Le'Veon Bell becomes even more interesting than what we initially had talked about. We thought that you'd maybe get some of the receiving work, get a couple snaps here and there. Now he might actually have to play a significant role because they have nobody else. So definitely a lot of changing news and information going on. Not only that, but then their defense potentially taking a huge blow as well, in that Marcus Peters went down with a potential season-ending injury, which also doesn't bode well for this defense. And if you took this defense high ranked, that is also a concern.
Tyson Williams is a guy I just want to highlight as a guy that was sneaking up, people's boards, coming in, because he was a guy that overtook that RB2 role. And, I know it's going to be quick to go out to the waivers and get Le'Veon Bell, but I wouldn't put it past Tyson Williams to be the guy here. He's able to be a pass catcher. He's a guy I would want to put in my lineup if I went really RB thin in this game, because it's just such a high over-under. We'll know a lot more about Bell's status coming into that game, but I know that the Ravens and Lamar Jackson was hyped on Tyson Williams. So if your quarterback, similar to our take on Chase Edmonds, Kyler Murray's been hyping Chase Edmonds up all offseason. I think if Lamar Jackson's hyped on Tyson Williams, I want to keep an eye out on getting him off the waivers. Austin, I want to talk to you about these pass catchers because they've had their share of injuries as well and turnover in that pass catching core. We know that Mark Andrews is the auto start as the apple of Lamar Jackson's eye, but what about these pass catchers?
I'm going with a familiar metaphor on this one. These pass catchers to me are hitting me in the same way the Mystery Men do. The quirky superheroes of Champion City from the 1999 film Mystery Men. Look, Marquise Brown, Sammy Watkins, Tylan Wallace, Rashad Bateman, right? Like, they've gotten these gnarly injuries. They've gotten Sammy Watkins, another high draft pick who's often always injured. Marquise Brown, the first round draft pick who we're perennially waiting to break out. And yeah, they're done with Willie Snead. They're done with Miles Boykin. I'm not sure right now, given the health of the new acquisitions, they're even in an improved situation over last year. And Lamar's wide receivers haven't done him a huge favor. I'm not sure if this is the year that it's going to turn. And we would need Marquise Brown to level up. We'd need Sammy Watkins to stay healthy. And ask me why either one of those are going to happen, and I don't have a strong case for you, man. I wish I had a better case, but
the other thing is too, we need Lamar Jackson to level up, and that's what we're trying to look at as a pass catcher. You want these things around him to level up. I don't know if he can do it. He finishes as a QB1 last year. He was the QB10 overall, but he did it behind back-to-back seasons with over 1,000 rushing yards. No game over 275 passing yards last year. Look, this is going to be a good test because the Raiders defense is 22nd ranked against the pass. We have been hearing Lamar's dedication to the passing work. They brought in other coaches, the tighter spiral, but he just doesn't seem to have a lot of weapons on the squad right now to get it done. We will see. Let's see. I think Lamar's going to be a fine fantasy option for you because of the rushing upside, but his ability to hit that MVP top, 2 tier is probably still not there without some better passing weapons, or as Austin said, leveling up from the other guys in the offense. I want to go to the Las Vegas Raiders side of the ball, where we've been hearing a lot about Kenyan Drake getting signed for a massive deal, or a big deal for a backup running back, I should say. Josh Jacobs, a former first-round pick, now questionable, undisclosed injury, but he's expected back at practice by the end of the week. So, Johnny, will Drake's presence actually spell this, the death of Jacobs' value, as we've been hearing all offseason? And what are you looking at in this matchup against Baltimore?
I don't think it spells the death of Josh Jacobs. I mean, now the injury, we'll monitor that as well. If he doesn't return, then obviously Drake becomes a very intriguing start for you this weekend. However, I want to compare this and bounce this off of my co-host. I really want to say the Las Vegas Raiders backfield is a poor man's Cleveland Browns running backfield. If you can even say that, I guess now you can, because people believe in Chubb and Kareem Hunt, but it's going to be very, very similar in that Josh Jacobs is going to get the bulk of the carries and the workload on the ground. Kenyan Drake will come in. He'll spell some of the groundwork, but most of his damage is going to be through the passing work. I don't think Josh Jacobs will get very many passing opportunities there. And then I could definitely see that Josh Jacobs is going to be the first crack at the goal line. But we do know that Drake is one of the most efficient and most effective within the 5-yard line as well. So you could see some trickery as far as double running back systems in there. But when you're looking at this game, you're looking at the Vegas Raiders needing to stay in this game. So I was expecting a heavier running workload, a heavier game plan on the running game. So I do think Josh Jacobs is still, barring, any significant injury news that comes out in the next couple of days, I do think that Josh Jacobs is still in your lineup and still playable. And I think that Kenyan Drake is an interesting dart flex throw if you need a running back. However, if anything does happen to Josh Jacobs, then Drake immediately becomes a starter for me for this week.
I'm glad that you brought up Baltimore's game plan. I just want to say to Whisper Nation, or those of you watching right now on YouTube or listening on the podcast, make sure you go and check this line again, because right now it's at 4.5, but it could change with the Gus Edwards news. And if it does change drastically, then you know that they don't have faith in Baltimore's offense as much, so you can kind of adjust accordingly. But right now it stands at 4.5. Austin, switching back to the Raiders, and what I think is the focal point, what we saw the focal point of their offense was Darren Waller last year. We know we're starting Darren Waller. We drafted him in the 2nd round. I'm really interested to see where his ceiling goes this year, if he can touch that Kelsey tier. But do you see him as just this continuing focal point of the offense?
Yep. The unique story tight end has been a top 3 tight end over the last 2 seasons, Travi, and this year I believe he's primed for his best season yet. If the wide receivers in Las Vegas, namely Henry Ruggs and Bryan Edwards, do take a level up, I think this is only going to help the Raiders offense and help Darren Waller. Neither Ruggs nor Edwards are going to eclipse Darren Waller as the primary option or the primary talent. Them getting better is just going to create more series, more first downs, and more opportunities for Darren Waller to eclipse 1,100 yards again. That's what I expect to see, and I would be shocked, honestly, if anything else came through.
Yeah, a note on those pass catchers, because I know that Austin and I have kind of been, quieter fans of Henry Ruggs as somebody just as a dart throw. Johnny been a louder fan of Bryan Edwards. I want to talk about them as not options for me this week, but I want to talk about why you need to be keeping your eye on them. If we look at Henry Ruggs last year, obviously the fastest wide receiver selected in 2020's draft, but he had a terrible rookie season, only 43 targets, 26 catches, under 500 yards, only 2 touchdowns. Then we switch gears to Bryan Edwards, earliest breakout age that they have recorded on Player Profiler. He was a top 5 prospect coming into the NFL in a stacked class, 6'3", 212 pounds. He's been comped to Corey Davis via Player Profiler and comped to Terrell Owens by John Gruden. So we have a lot of comps and a lot of excitement within him. He'll be playing that Nelson Aguilar role because Aguilar left to the Patriots. That yielded about 13% of the target market share. So I think that it's a hope and a prayer right now until we can see the offense cater to either of these wide receivers that they have, obviously complimenting Waller, but it's wait and see for me. Only the Ravens targeted their wide receivers fewer times than the Raiders last year, so that's not something I want to be signing up to go put in my lineup right away, but it's definitely a storyline we want to watch heading into this season. Well, gentlemen, we did it. That's the Monday Night Football matchup for everyone, and that's it for our show here. If you liked what you heard, please hit that subscribe button over on the YouTube channel. It would help us grow the channel, and good luck in all of your matchups this weekend. For Johnny Game Time Hicks, For Austin Sear, I'm Big Travie. We're the Fantasy Whisperers. We're out. Peace.
Right here.
Oh, hey, you made it to the end of the video. If you like what you saw, go ahead and hit subscribe. Make sure you hit that bell so you get notified anytime we drop new content or go live. And if you're still not sold yet, check out one of these videos.